Hey there, Zachariah Brewer here again, Soaring Eagle Professional Services, safety training consultation on a construction site. I'm back here to tell you a little bit more about that first roofing job I had, the 2 days I worked on a roofing crew before not going back and not complaining that they didn't ask me back. All right, so I talked in the previous video about what kind of things they did that should have warned me not to take this job. Now I'm going to talk about, getting to the job, and so much happened, so much went wrong in those 2 days that I should have known better, or I should have. The problem was though that I didn't. When you're new and you haven't been taught better, you just take things as they come. All right, you just take it all in, and if everybody there is convinced that it's, that that's the right thing to do and the right way to do it, then you just go along with it. You're like, okay, well, these guys talk like they know what they're talking about. All right, let's see what happens. So, upon arrival, one of the first things I experienced, okay, this is one of those, stump the dummy rookie kind of things. I had a guy who asked me to throw a cup full of Powerade, because by this time, I talked in my previous video how the foreman didn't have water or anything, and now apparently they did. One of the guys on the roof asked me to take a cup of Powerade and throw it up to him. Now, it was a cup. This is a cup that's handy. It was a much bigger cup than this, about a 32-ounce McDonald's cup, and had no lid on it. And he wanted me to fill it up with Powerade and toss it up to him. And he was supposedly going to catch that on top of a 10-foot roof. And so as a result, what happens to me? I do it. I'm 21 years old. I've never had anybody tell me otherwise. This guy says this is what he wants me to do and how he wants me to do it. All right, fine, let's do it. So what do? Toss it up there. Goes everywhere. Gets his shoes wet, which, if you've done some roofing, is bad business to have wet shoes. You got to have as much grip as possible. And so he says, man, he wants to blame it on me, of course, because he knows that the foreman's not going to, come down on me that hard on my first day. So, man, this guy threw the cup up here and it got my shoes all wet. I'm going to need to go home and get some new shoes. Took me years to figure out that what he really wanted was, a paid break off the clock to be able to drive home, get himself some new shoes, and probably, get a bite to eat on the way and take his time and stuff like that. I didn't understand all that, all right? There's another time that, the assistant foreman told me to do the same thing with a cup of nails. Nails. I didn't have the sense to say, hey, man, throw me down a line and I'll tie a knot around it, because I did that all the time in Boy Scouts. I could tie you a knot. Just can't throw anything like that. Can't throw a cup with no lid on it up into the air and expect everything inside that cup to stay there. But again, that afforded them a break in the time it took to pick up all them nails. So that's what I had coming into this. All right. So let's talk about some of these things in terms of the Fatal Four, or the Focus Four, excuse me. OSHA likes to call them the Focus Four now. Falls, electrical, caught in between, and struck by. Your Focus Four, right? So, fall hazards on this job site. It is a 10 by 12 pitched roof. Now, 12 by 12 would be a true 45-degree angle, so 10 by 12 is a little bit less than that. I don't know off the top of my head what the degree on that angle would be, but suffice to say it's pretty steep. At that angle, you're supposed to have toe boards every so often. That, in the foreman's eyes, was going to take too long and cost too much money, and so they had one toe board at the very edge of the roof, and if you started slipping, you were just supposed to catch yourself. They advised me to grow some fingernails real quick if I got up there and I started slipping. All right, so next, they wanted us to hand the plywood, sheets of plywood, full sheets of plywood, 4x8 sheets of plywood, up onto the roof one at a time, and then, whatever cut pieces they may need in order to go up there. Simple task. The spot from which they wanted us to toss these up there was right underneath where another contractor, not the roofer, roofing contractor, but another contractor had made a trash pile. Okay. Foreman said he's not paying us to pick up somebody else's mess. He advised us to just put a piece of plywood on top of a stack of construction waste. All right? What does that look like? Let's say that's our stack of construction waste, and that's our plywood board. And here I am just supposed to stand up there and lift up this 4 by 8 foot sheet of plywood up to somebody above me and be able to get that. Do they have ladders to get up on the roof? No! You don't need a ladder to get up on the roof. Just climb up on the forms. Climb up on the wall, on the studs that are in place. Yeah. So, all things considered, lots of fall hazards ready and waiting to happen. Again, with these guys who, are already on drugs. I watch guys using hash, popping those Xanax, like I said, and doing all that in order to just be able to do their job. All right? I was a rookie. I was green. I didn't know. A lot of y'all out there might just not know what you don't know if you're new to construction. Even if you've been there a while, there's still a lot of stuff to learn. So another key is that you've got to be humble and willing to let somebody teach you something about safety. All right? As far as being a foreman, a superintendent, safety man on the job site, understand that people are coming in without a whole lot of previous knowledge if they haven't been properly trained and taught. You have to expect that there may be some level of ignorance there. Not that that's their fault, but just that they haven't been taught. And so if they haven't been taught, it's your responsibility to teach them. Or else you're going to have to mop up the mess after it's over with. All right? So let's keep people safe. Invest in their training. OSHA 10 hours is a great way to invest in that training. One key thing, if you got the right teacher. This is the type of teaching I do, the style of my classes. Conversational. Let's help them see why it's a problem. I can tell that story, and anybody, just about anybody, could probably figure out after a little bit why it's a problem. Why didn't I figure it out in the get-go? Because, hey, I didn't know anything. I was out there without much sense, without much training, and nobody really out there to say, this is what you ought to do. So, that being said, invest in your people. If you want some OSHA 10-hour, 30-hour training, contact us. Contact me, Soaring Eagle Professional Services. I'm an authorized OSHA 10 and 30-hour trainer. I'd be glad to set something up for you. Just let me know, and we can work something out. Till then, Zachariah Brewer signing off. I'll be glad to tell you more, all in good time.